course, we work with Memorial, the Memorial Society, which is the group that has researched all the horrors of Stalinism and brought them to light and brought just the testimony of all the people that survived the camps. And our work is similar to that, but we have concentrated on the revolutionaries, on the old communists, the real communists, who continue to fight for justice and democracy and to try and rethink Marxism within the camps.
Why don't we end with that, talking about your ideas that a fine or utopian or excellent society could actually occur. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to summarize very briefly, I think we're headed for a disaster. And although capitalism's collapse will have a horrible effect on working people every place in the world with unemployment and food scarcities and everything else, the fact is that we face a window of opportunity now when the system is weak and when there's a chance for the 6 billion working people in this world to overcome the throttle hold that a few thousand billionaires have over life on the planet, over nature, over work, over our families. It's just gone on too long. And it can't go on much longer because the ecosystem won't bear it. The drastic climate change, which I've been working on and denouncing for years, and my gosh, we had the Clamshell Alliance and fought against nukes here and everything else. We're very, very close to a critical tipping point if we haven't already passed it. And the only thing we can know about climate research is that every new discovery tells us that it's worse than even the most pessimistic people thought the last time there was an official report. And of course, we know that the big lobbies, it was just exposed, their own research told them that climate change was caused by human activity and that it was going to be very destructive. And they went right ahead fighting it. I think somebody's going to sue them over that because it was a bald-faced lie, and it's just like the tobacco companies denying cancer and everything else. I think people in this country are, and around the world, are waking up to the fact that we live in one world and that this world is mortal.
Do you think there's any role for nuclear power? I was reading George Monbiot, I believe, from Britain, and he is so afraid of what the climate change might be doing to the Earth that he says he's willing to consider a certain amount of nuclear power.
Well, you know, I recently organized a series of 3 panels on eco-socialism at the Left Forum in New York, which is where we reconnected. And among the people I invited, a lot of scientists, there was one that was not following Monbiot, who's kind of a reactionary politically, but others who say that these fast breeder reactors could be much less polluting and much more sustainable. I'm not convinced. In fact, he wasn't convinced. He wanted us socialists and ecologists to consider it, which I thought was really a wonderfully open and scientific attitude. My take on the subject is very simple. Right now, solar and wind power at their present state of technology are sufficient to apply this country's energy needs and to replace carbon in the next 10 years if we devote the next 10 years to converting. Now, obviously, you're going to have to burn some oil, or natural gas, of course, is the safest and best, to make the pylons for the propellers that bring us wind power, and to print out the solar panels that bring us solar power. But very quickly, we can convert. And if we stop making automobiles that pollute and that lead to more and more traffic jams and more time for Americans on the road to get to work when they still have jobs, if we can get rid of that and replace it by light rail, which the factories in Detroit are perfectly capable of producing, or nice gas natural gas-powered buses, we can cut down way back.
Could we do this under capitalism?
It would be nice, but I really doubt it. In any case, the only way that this is going to come about is by mass agitation. Now, I read on the internet that right now in Britain, some auto workers have taken over an auto factory, and among the things that they're saying in their press releases is, why make more autos? We can make green things. We know how to do plastic. We know how to do this, that, and the other thing. And, of course, that idea of green jobs is a wonderful idea, because it means doing what was done in the 30s, getting people out to clean up the environment. You know, they made all the trails and so on. In those days, they built the big dams to supply electric power. Well, we now know that those have destructive side effects. I'm not sure they knew about that then. But people putting to work to make solar things, to insulate all these houses, and all of these things are labor intensive. And the problem is that capital doesn't want to pay working people a living wage to do what needs to be done to make a living planet. Their idea of profit, it's got to be 30%. And the only way you can get that is usury, is by putting people in debt and making them work forever and ever to pay off credit cards and ballooning mortgages and college loans that you can't escape from, and all of that. I suppose if there were an ideal capitalism, it might do it. But my solution, which I borrow from my colleague up there at Amherst, UMass, Richard Wolff, is this. Why don't we have, instead of a board of directors made up of nasty bankers who only want to suck these companies dry and then shed the workers, why don't we have boards of directors made of workers and engineers and consumers and representatives of the surrounding community, who can use these facilities that have been built up over the years by human brain and muscle, that is to say, by the employees, not the bankers, and turn that over to ourselves. Let the workers run it, and let them run it with the community, and put everybody, if we put everybody back to work and did away with managers and every other kind of clock watchers and bean counters and all of these people who are only there for money, well, in the first instance, it would create a lot of unemployment. But in the second instance, if everybody went to work, we could have a 4-hour day.
Well, I know you have another commitment at Talk here in Middletown, so I'm going to stop my questions now. I thank you. I appreciate so much this interview.
Well, Stanley, it's great to see you again after all these years, because we were in the struggle back in the 70s here in Connecticut, and I'm very happy to be on your program.
Richard Greeman is giving away his book for free. You can download it at no cost. Go to our website, thestruggle.org, for details. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is The Struggle.